James Saunders says, what props that change through sequels, reboots, and remakes? With props that change through sequels, reboots, and remakes, what are some of the props where you are a fan of one version but not another? Oh God, there's so many. Like, I'd say one of the ones that gets me on both the original and the reboot is Battlestar Galactica. I love so much of the things. Okay, like first of all, the guns from the original series of Battlestar Galactica, which were built by my old supervisor, Steve Gawley at ILM, they're fine. They are fine guns, but I really like the ones from the new reboot. But I also think, and I love the Viper helmets from the reboot, but there are very few things cooler than the Viper helmets, the Egyptian Viper helmets from the original Battlestar Galactica series. I prefer original series Battlestar Galactica, Vipers, and Cylon Raiders to the new ones. I think the new ones are excellent and really gorgeous, but I think the originals, I mean, also because they hold this like special place in my young heart. That comes out in like 1980. Yeah, I mean, this has hit me in the sweet spot of my youth. But the one I wanted to, Dredd. I vastly prefer everything about Dredd 3D to the original Sylvester Stallone, Rob Schneider vehicle. Yeah, and I'm sure there are tons more. Look, I think that, I think that the Total Recall reboot, I think everything about the original is better than the reboot, except the cityscape establishing shots. I think the reboot is they were clearly very inspired by Blade Runner in the Total Recall reboot with Colin Farrell, and really nailed their cityscapes and environments in a way that few movies have. And that being said, the original's props and action sequences and stuff totally exceeds the reboot, in my opinion. And then there is two questions, one from John Zizolfo and one from D. Friendly. I'll start with D. Friendly's. What are some of your favorite films and shows that feature San Francisco and the Bay Area as their setting? And obviously, you know, there's Bullet. I always like Look Who's Coming to Dinner with Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn and Sidney Poitier, in which the main couple lives up on up Pacific Heights, I believe, or maybe even farther north. But this, like, the whole movie takes place in San Francisco. They drive down Lombard, they go to Mel's Drive, and they have a meal, they have altercations, and it all feels very much like that part of San Francisco. So I'm always noticing. My wife has been watching a show that came out a while ago called Looking with Jonathan Groff and Murray Bartlett and some other wonderful actors, that she was astounded by. Like Murray Bartlett's character is a waiter at Zuni Cafe, where my wife and I went for lunch yesterday. And like they filmed in Zuni Cafe. She's like, this film is so leaning into its San Francisco cred. Everywhere they are is exactly where they are, and you get to go in the places. So she really likes looking for that. But then John Zizolfo adds, as a New Yorker, it irks me when films and shows alter New York's geography, either intentionally or accidentally. Action sequences are the biggest offenders. Oh, yes, so much. Do I feel similarly about films set in San Francisco? You know, the Ant-Man, you're right. Ant-Man films and Venom films both are San Francisco films, but not ones that I feel like feature San Francisco as character. I feel like one of the most famous ones in that regard is What's Up, Doc? Peter Bogdanovich's third movie, in which his wife, well, at that point, his ex-wife, Polly Platt, was keeping the whole production effectively in like a state of suspended animation while she traveled to several cities around the US figuring out what the funniest city to shoot What's Up, Doc in would be, and it turned out to be San Francisco, and she's so right. What's Up, Doc is a great San Francisco film. But you asked specifically about films in which they compress the geography. Blue Jasmine does a bit of that. 48 Hours maybe is one of the most egregious action movies in terms of compressing. In 48 Hours, it's a 2-block walk from the Mission District to Chinatown. And in reality, they're pretty far apart in San Francisco's geography. But the most egregious San Francisco topography mashup is the Kevin Bacon bike messenger thriller, Quicksilver, which takes place in Manhattan. He's a former investment banker that becomes a bike messenger, if I remember this correctly. And there's a point at which he turns onto a hill. And it's 3 decades since I watched this movie, so forgive me if I get this wrong. But there is like one hill in Manhattan, and it's over in the East 90s. And it's not a big hill compared to San Francisco. But if I remember correctly, he heads up there, bombs down that hill, and then the next shot is him bombing down Fillmore Street in San Francisco. So they actually conflate New York and San Francisco in the same action sequence. I love that, actually. I really appreciate when that happens and you don't notice. This is all over Die Hard 2, in which they had so much trouble finding snow-covered runways, because the whole film takes place in a winter airport, that there are many shots in which someone goes through a door that's in one airport, then walks into a hallway that's in another airport, climbs a ladder to a tarmac that's in a third airport, like that kind of mashup. And so I don't necessarily mind when they compress that. 48 hours, what's up, Doc? I'll do somebody dinner. Woody Allen, Blue Jasmine. Yeah. And Bullet too. They're making all sorts of turns in the movie Bullet that are ludicrous in terms of the topography, but I don't mind. I will tell you, there's a shining example in New York, which is the Jessica Jones series, which is fantastic, and you should watch it if you haven't, because it's wonderful. But in Jessica Jones, which takes place in New York, what I kept finding astounding was every time they would be somewhere, and they'd be like, well, here we are in Union Square, they'd be shooting in Union Square. Like, there was no place that they named that wasn't actually where they were filming, which is incredibly rare in New York City specifically, where so many other cities stand in for New York. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support us even further, you can by becoming a tested member. Details are, of course, below, but it includes all sorts of perks, and we're building them all the time. You get advanced word and behind-the-scenes photos of some of our projects. Questions, you get to ask direct questions during my live streams, and we have some members-only videos, including the Adam real-time series of unbroken, unedited shots of me working here in the shop. They are weirdly meditative. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you on the next one.